So, BC, the question for you is this. Is Rodriguez versus Emmett for the interim featherweight title the right next fight to make?
Yeah, given the injury to Volkanovski, things have just had a way of working out for Josh Emmett right when it looked like they weren't, right when it looked like, he didn't get the prime seating that I talked about last episode for the UFC 276 card with the zoom in and the name on the bottom. He got bumped up to the upper deck. But that doesn't matter as long as you get that prize. And Volkanovski's injury has opened up a door here for Josh Emmett to get what we've all argued he kind of deserved from the beginning. 5-fight win streak, blood and guts performances. You hear him on Room Service Diaries, and if you haven't heard it, check it out at youtube.com/morningcombat. It's a great listen. But Luke, what do we learn about that? Nothing given to this guy, everything earned and paid for in blood, and how many of those close fights, which I know his critics will argue, I don't think he beat Cater, I don't think he beat Dan Ige, that close fight with Burgos, whatever. Dude, he's here, okay? Enough of that talk. He's here, but he's had to crawl and scratch. I mean, we asked him specifically in the Room Service Diaries, when you're going to the cards against Cater, how confident can you actually be? Because if he loses that fight, if he loses a split decision to Calvin Cater, we don't ever hear from him at this level again. It's just math, right. Luke.
That's it.
Okay? It's just math at 37, considering how much he's poured out to get here. You're probably not going to see him again. Yet he stayed the course. I mean, what else could he do, right? He's done everything he could. He's been on every podcast. All he could do was stay the course and wait. And it seems to potentially have coming back around again, unless, Henry Cejudo or somebody that we're not even considering is going to fly in and steal his spot. Yair, for as much as the win streak, which is one fight and it was an aborted fight, for as much as that doesn't tell us a lot, he still looks to be the best he's ever been, Luke.
That's true.
And although you can argue this doesn't matter, how much do you think his post-fight interview did for... I mean, look, they're on ABC. It almost felt like a planted question. Would you say that when Daniel Cormier goes, what do you want to say to your Latin fans out there?
Yeah, of course.
Yet he freaking delivered it. And I don't know if you saw the video of him walking down the aisle giving high fives. I thought he came across hugely humble and just like really likable. Like, it's Yair's time. And you'd like for him to have a 3 or 4 fight win streak to get to this point. He doesn't. But as long as he's fighting the guy who deserves even more to be there in Josh Emmett, this is the perfect use of an interim title. It's still a #1 contenders fight, but it's the perfect use of an interim title for 2 people that deserve it. And then let's see who can come out of that and fight Volkanovski when he comes back around the other end. Because Volkanovski ain't getting the lightweight title shot anytime soon. And I don't think he should right now.
Probably
It's too crowded up there, Luke.
Here's what I would say. You can't argue that Emmett doesn't deserve the title shot because the Cater fight was close, and then claim that Yair does deserve the title shot off of a 1-fight win streak that came, yes, that he produced by virtue of what he was doing, but produced it via injury from a sort of what probably was a medically, not dubious situation ahead of time, but a medically affected one, right? Like he probably had some kind of pre-existing condition there that made that injury possible. I don't think that Yair has that kind of pulling strength to do that kind of thing. You can't claim that that's the authoritative one win you need to punch your ticket to a title shot against maybe the very best fighter on earth. What you can argue is, hey, it's not Yair's fault that Ortega's shoulder fell out the way that it did. Fair enough. And you can say, well, Cater made a strong account of himself, but the judges gave it to him, but it was a little bit dicey. It's close.
Yeah.
We have an unresolved top contender situation. And Emmett, to me, has obviously a longer winning streak, and I think has fought better guys personally and done better against them. But Yair did well enough for the time that we saw him. He gave Max Holloway hell.
Yes.
He is well-liked. He is popular. And it'd be a fresh fight in either case for Volkanovski. Interim title or not, I don't know. But the next fight to make, for sure, is Josh Emmett versus Yair Rodriguez. That is the fight that you have to make. Winner take all in that case.
I agree with you, but time for a hard question.
We're going to turn the camera. There we go.
By the way, should we be alarmed? Normally we come in here, we're like, are there too many Malka employees running around here for what's actually needed? Now this time it's a ghost town. I got to get the camera guy to refill my coffee cup. It's great. Where's Filthy Phil when you need him? You know what I mean? You know this new guy's name?
Gojira?
Gojira? Yeah, brother. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, can't even give him some FaceTime there in the back. All right, Luke, what I was going to say was you might not want to answer this question right now because it looks like Josh Emmett probably deserves and will get his chance. But on paper, is Yair Rodriguez the only remaining featherweight who could potentially take the title from Volkanovski right now? I mean, look, Ortega came close, so you can't remove Ortega from this conversation. But he's injured. He's not. He's out right now. Is Yair the last guy standing who, in your mind, you could say, all right, I could imagine him doing it. I could imagine it.
Uh,
Because this is a new Volkanovski. The guy that beat Max's ass in the third fight, that's a new.
I would say that, you couldn't fully dismiss two names. One, Arnold Allen. I would pick Volkanovski over him.
Oh, no. I like Arnold Allen a lot,
Okay.
but don't do that.
How about this one? Movsar Evloev.
Now you're getting into my collection of hammers. Now you're like, hey, BC.
Deep into tool bag. Yeah. So I would say in the top 5, it's Kattar, Emmett, Rodriguez, Ortega, Holloway. Yeah, in that sense, it's just Emmett and Yair left. That's all. And both of them don't deserve to get the fight. Only one of them does. And I'm not one of these guys who are like, oh, I love interim titles, but I've made this argument before. If you have an interim title for this one, whoever the winner is heading into the eventual fight with Volkanovski, both will get pay-per-view.
All right, I've come around. I hate abusing interim titles, but if it gets them the points they need. Now let's go back to what this fight they should make next. Emmett versus Rodriguez. Was Team Emmett at their house in Sacramento? On the same night, by the way, did you hear that hilarious take that Dean Thomas gave in the pre-show of UFC?
No.
They were like, if Yair comes out and wins this fight against Ortega, it's going to be hard marketing-wise to keep him away from the title. We said the same thing. Dean's like, I'm not even sure, Yair's got Mexico behind him. I'm not even sure Josh Emmett has Sacramento behind him. Harsh, but fair.
Jesus Christ.
But when he's sitting home in Sacramento, and we love us some Josh Emmett right here, is he celebrating when that fight ends abruptly and the door is now kicked back open? He's got to be, right? That's got to be like, oh shit, that is.
I bet he would have preferred Ortega to win, because if Ortega wins, who's already had the 2 title shots, that would have given Emmett free and clear. But what I'll say is this: we're not even talking about how awesome a fight Emmett versus Yair Rodriguez.
That's what I want you to talk about.
2 action fighters to the nth degree,
but different kinds of action fighters. One more of a.
How does the fight between Emmett and Yair look in your?
That's what I'm saying, because Emmett's more of a Emmett almost purposely dumbed himself down a bit when we were talking to him, room service diaries, right? There was a point where you and I looked and caught eyes. You're like, so what is your mindset, your game plan?
Yeah, he's like, I don't game plan. I'm like, sorry, what?
I just go in there and throw right hands and fight like a caveman, and if my face doesn't fall off, I win. I mean, that's kind of what he said, and you even were like, I want to give you a second chance here. Now, he didn't really mean that, but in his mind, he looks at himself as an adaptable guy who, no matter what the competition is bringing, he's going to adjust and inflict what he does, which is big right hands, put the pressure on you like that. Obviously, Yair is a crafty, creative, artiste of a striker, but no less dangerous. I mean, could this end in a brutal fight in which Yair stops him and carves him up late? It's possible. But could Emmett also take this guy down, Luke? Could Emmett be fighting downhill the whole time and eventually just in a war just outman him? Also possible. Buckle up, dude. Featherweight kind of on fire right now. And it may not be as high in my mind as bantamweight, the best division in the sport right now. Women's strawweight, always among the best divisions in the sport right now. And you got a shot at lightweight. It's still there. Still not going anywhere. It's still fucking rules, right, brother?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Featherweight. You thought I got off the exit and had no idea where I was.
Yeah, a little bit.
No, not true. Featherweight is coming the hell on. Right now, this core of guys atop, and Shane Burgo's not done yet, which I'm sure we can talk about at some point, but dude, they're all going to be bangers of fights. It's
they're all
fantastic.
Going to be bangers.
Do you like Emmett's chances here? What will the
I'll say this. I would favor Emmett to win on the argument that Emmett's wrestling would be the difference maker. If Max Holloway is getting you down, that's one thing. Max is extremely good. Not known as a wrestler, but certainly quite talented. But then Brian Ortega, who has historically a 24% takedown success rate, which is very low, for him to get the takedown, granted it may have injured his shoulder, but who knows what the medical condition was ahead of time. Still, he did get him down. Let me just tell you something. If those two guys can get him down, Emmett's going to get him down. The question you have to ask yourself is Emmett even going to try to do that? Because Emmett loves to fucking brawl on the feet.
He likes to stand and
fucking
bang.
trade, dude. Everyone's like, oh, Yair should get it, or whatever your position is. Because I granted, he's significantly more popular than Josh Emmett, but I'm just trying to explain to people, an Emmett versus Yair Rodriguez fight is absolutely bonkers. That is and for an interim title, probably would have been a main event no matter what, even if they put it on a fight night. That's a 5-round fight. You got to be shitting.
It could be a pay-per-view co-main coming up. That could be something.
I mean, honestly, even if Emmett makes it through that one, Yair is going to take a pound of flesh from him. Like, he is going to go into that Volkanovski fight, assuming he even wins.
Like Shylock in The Merchant of Venice, right?
I mean, I don't know if that's the best comparison I've ever heard.
I was trying to get literary. I was trying to get on your team here with the books, you know?
Yeah. Well, in any event, it's worth thinking about that Yair certainly is capable of winning that one on the feet. He could knock Emmett out if Emmett's not careful. I think he probably is the better striker of the two. But I would say Emmett's a little bit more physical, a little bit more well-rounded in terms of all of his offensive weapons. Either way, that's all. Those two have to fight because the argument for either guy, given what has happened in the division and given how the sport works, no one's argument is ironclad. Emmett's resume is a little bit stronger, but it's hardly that case that Yair's resume is weak, and he has this significant popular backing. Yeah. Plus, he would also have an action fight with.
And you're asking yourself, who else could it be outside of that great doctor deciding to change his ways? You know what I'm talking about?
What?
Not Kevorkian, not Nasser. I'm talking about Zabit. Outside of him deciding to change his ways, Luke, okay, and come on down, who else are you going to give it to? Nobody. It's time. Let's do it. Appointment viewing. So I'm fired up. And Yair, look, again, we'll put the bow on it like we started. From what he could have shown, he showed out, man.
Great.
He showed out. So there it is.